This summer could really define the next era for FC Barcelona. With sporting director Deco at the helm, the club has a super clear and pretty ambitious master plan for the transfer window. But, as we're about to see, there's one massive looming question that could make or break the entire project.
And this right here is the fundamental dilemma. Barça has zeroed in on two critical areas they need to reinforce, but their ambitions are running head-on into a pretty harsh financial reality. So how in the world do they plan to pull it off? Let's break down the strategy, starting with the one position they've called their absolute priority.
For Deco, the mission is crystal clear. A new number 9 is completely non-negotiable. He sees the striker position as the number one priority, the key to unlocking the team's entire future potential. And it's here that the club's most creative, and maybe its most complicated, moves are being planned.
Okay, so you can see there are basically two paths forward here. On one hand, you've got the Robert Lewandowski situation. The idea is to convince him to take a pretty significant pay cut for a one-year extension. But the other path, well, that's the dream scenario, signing Julián Álvarez from Manchester City. Barça sees him as the perfect successor. He's younger, has a relentless work rate, and just offers a totally different, more mobile profile up front. But trying to pry a key player away from a European giant like City, that is a monumental challenge.
So, how does Barça even begin to approach a deal this complex, especially when cash is tight? Well, they've cooked up a really creative formula that involves a lot more than just money. They think they have a player who could be the key piece in the negotiations to bring that final price tag way down.
And here it is, the audacious proposal. The plan is to offer Ferran Torres, who has actually drawn interest from clubs like Atletico Madrid, plus a cash payment of around 50 million euros to Manchester City, all in exchange for Álvarez. Look, it's a bold move, but it all hinges on 1. Finding a club to take Torres, and 2. Manchester City even being open to the deal in the first place.
Of course, having a plan is one thing, but actually executing it is a whole different ballgame. The hurdles here are huge. First off, Álvarez himself would have to really push for the move. Then, you're trying to negotiate with a European powerhouse. And you've got to add in interest from other giants like PSG, and you start to see just how tough this is going to be. Deco has met with the player's agent, but for now, that's all it is, a conversation. No agreements are in place.
All right, let's switch gears from attack to defense for a minute. Because while a new striker is priority number 1, Deco is also working hard on a major defensive reinforcement. The goal here isn't just some quick fix. It's to build a backline that can really dominate for years to come.
The absolute dream signing for the center of that defense is Inter Milan's Alessandro Bastoni. I mean, he is everything you'd want. A modern, left-footed, ball-playing center back, a profile the club desperately needs. Deco has personally flown to Milan multiple times just to meet with his agent. He is without a doubt option number 1. But there's a big catch.
And here's that catch. Reports out of Italy are suggesting that Inter would demand somewhere around 70 to 75 million euros for Bastoni. As you can see, that is a massive fee that puts this dream signing in direct conflict with the money they need for a top striker. This is the central financial puzzle the club has to solve.
Now, at fullback, the plan is a bit more pragmatic, as you can see laid out here. The top priority is to make João Cancelo's move permanent, and ideally, they'd love to do it on a free transfer. The problem, though, is that his parent club wants a fee. So if that deal falls through, Barça has a fantastic alternative lined up in a former La Masia player, Alex Grimaldo.
So all of this brings us to the most crucial point, right? Where does all the money come from? For any of these ambitions to become a reality, Barcelona has to generate some serious funds. And that means one thing: strategic player sales.
And this is where the strategy gets ruthless. According to sources close to Deco, almost no one is off limits. I mean, it would be surprising, for sure, but even major players like Jules Koundé and Alejandro Balde are not considered untransferable. And then you have the academy players, whose sales represent something incredibly valuable to the club: pure profit.
Take Marc Casado, for example. There's reportedly some interest from Saudi clubs, and as this quote points out, his sale will be a massive boost. Why? Because he's an academy graduate. There was no initial transfer cost. So any fee they get for him, at least 20 million euros, is booked as pure accounting profit. These are the exact kinds of deals that can unlock the club's spending power.
And hey, beyond the big names, Barça is also shopping for value to add some depth. They're keeping an eye on goalkeeper Alex Ramiro as a potential number 2, and on the wing, they have a really low-cost option in Jan Virgili, a player they already own 50% of the rights to, which would make any potential deal much, much cheaper.
But all of these moves, the dream signings, the value deals, all of it, are governed by one simple, unbending financial rule from La Liga. And if you understand this one concept, you understand Barcelona's entire summer.
This is the 1-to-1 rule. Now, for Barcelona to even operate under this rule, they first have to balance their books. Once they do that, it's pretty simple. For every euro they bring in through a sale or salary savings, they can spend €1 on a new player. If they don't get there, their spending is drastically restricted. This means sales aren't just an option, they're an absolute necessity.
And this slide right here just puts the entire challenge into stark perspective. On one side, you have the huge costs of top targets like Álvarez and Bastoni. On the other, you have the available funds, which, as you can see, depend entirely on who the club can sell. The math makes it pretty clear. Signing both of them looks nearly impossible without some truly massive departures.
Which really leaves us with the ultimate strategic question. Faced with all these constraints, what is the smarter path for Barcelona? Do they go all in on that game-changing striker? Or do they build from the back with the elite central defender? It's a choice that will likely define their entire season.